Well, we met 30 years ago. I was living in New York, and I was performing in New York at the time. But my mother and daddy lived near Austin, Texas. So when I was in New York, a friend of mine who was working on some plays with me told me to look up Donna because she was going to be a graduate student at the University of Texas in Austin. So I thought, okay. So I went over to the University of Texas in Austin where she had an office, and I knocked on the door, and she opened up the door, and we looked at each other, and we were like, oh. And we've been together pretty much ever since. Is that right? Is that a fair?
Yes. And I would say she knocked on my door, and I kind of went, wow.
In 1969, police raided the Stonewall Inn, a popular gay bar in New York City. Violent protests happened over the next 6 days. The Stonewall riots marked a major turning point in modern gay history.
But we also are partners in art, and so we particularly share a passion for theater, and so we co-founded in Tallahassee a theater company, Mickey Faust, which is now in its 27th year.
It wasn't until 1973 that the American Psychological Association decided that homosexuality was not a mental illness.
And there were people who were very cruel. They were very unkind. They made life hard on us in many, many different ways. And, but one thing I'll say about this, all of the little nieces and nephews, when they became aware of how society was mean to us because of laws, it's still mean. You know, they don't want us to marry. Often there are states who don't want us to have children, that they think that we're sick and perverted people. You know, we shouldn't, in Nigeria, there are laws now that are outlawing homosexuals and that they're rounding people up and throwing them into jails and killing them. Well, there was some of that too. People would get beaten up. You know, they'd be jailed for this, many of these kinds of things. But when our nieces and nephews heard about it when they were very little, they made a point of coming up to us one time when we were like, I think it was like 4th of July or something, and telling us that they loved us. And they were very protective, very protective. And for us, that was, the rest of the world could, well, I don't want to say the rest of the world could go hang because that's too damn literal, but that was very important. It made us feel like within our families, we could be loved and we could be safe. And that's not really true of a lot of people who are gay. There are still people who are in this kind of relationship that their families hate them for only that reason.
They say the devil never cries.
In 1983, Jerry Studs became the first openly gay U.S. congressman. California became the first state to allow civil unions in 1999. Civil unions were legalized in Vermont in 2000, Maine in 2004, 2005 in Connecticut, and 2006 in New Jersey.
And we got married in San Francisco when it first became legal to do so. And I just looked it up because I knew you were going to interview and ask me. So I went and looked at the date. So it was July 27th, 2008 is when we got married in San Francisco. changing. So, for instance, right now where I work at the university, Florida State University, this spring, so actually just right now, they will allow Terry to get health insurance, and if I pay for it, they'll reimburse me. So it's the closest thing to health insurance for my partner that we've had. But to put it in perspective of something I find funny is that the university is just getting around to it now, where Walt Disneyland gave benefits to same-sex employees 15 years ago.
Yay for Disney.
Yay for Disney. And
why
did the university take 15 years to get?
Today, 17 states have legalized same-sex marriage.
It's getting blue, dark, turn on the stars. Give me a cold card, light the fire, locomotive in mind.
Dear, it would be wonderful. And I'll tell you what, I didn't think it meant anything. We were together for a long, long time. And so we made our peace with it. We thought, oh, the law says we can, but to the law. Sometimes the law is wrong. You know, it was wrong about integration because, you know, when they were trying to segregate black from white, it was wrong. It was the law then, and it was wrong. And so people understood it and they changed it. There are lots of ways that the laws are changing now because they're wrong. So what's happening is that I think when we decided to get married, we did it almost as a joke. We were going to be in San Francisco because we had a film that we had done together that was going to play there. And so when the marriage, it became legal the weekend that our film was going to show. So we thought, and our friends thought, we had two friends who were going too, who are also a filmmaker, and we all thought, let's get married. But it was a joke because we knew it wasn't going to count. It wasn't going to mean a thing here, but we got there. And we got the license, and our friends were so delighted. We had lots of friends there, and they made us a cake, and we got flowers, and we got special little outfits, and then we were going to have dinner. And then my mother, who is elderly, my father had died before, but he would have been there if he could have, and she would have too. But she was elderly, and her mother as well. But my mother, we were able to have my mother there through the cell phone. Somebody held it while we said this. And we were moved. You know, we were genuinely moved. It meant something to us. And we were surprised to find out that it did.
I can't tell you what it means to me just for you to be sitting here and interviewing us. All right? That wouldn't have happened 30 years ago
No.
in any capacity. And so the hope is with the youth, because the youth is more open-minded and accepting.
Well, they're more loving. And, you know, they're more loving. And they recognize that the world is a complicated place. You know, there are lots of complicated things out there. But also, it's like, I think the future, for us, when we look at it, we look at the future about this issue very, very hopefully. Because there are all these barriers falling down, and people get to know more and more people who are gay. Because the major thing that's made this is xenophobia, which, if you know that word, it means it's like a fear of strangers. And so more and more gay people like us, we're not strangers anymore.